Hey everybody, Jam Creates here doing another comic review. This is The Wicked Righteous Exodus #1. This is the first issue in a 6-issue series. This is the second Wicked Righteous series from Alterna Comics. The first one was just called The Wicked Righteous. And that was, I believe, also 5 or 6 issues. I forget now. And I read that just for little background. I read the entire series digitally. I read it on Comixology, and I read the graphic novel version. So basically, it's a trade paperback. Essentially, it's the collected stuff of the issues all into one volume, and I read the whole thing in 2 days because it was excellent. I absolutely loved it, and I blew through it like super fast. If you heard that noise, I don't know if you heard that noise or not, but if you did, that was my boy getting comfortable. Oh, there he is. Oh, hey, bud. All right, whatever. Anyway, the series was fantastic. I loved the story. I loved the characters, the story. It was just really cool. It was really great, and I flew through it super fast because I didn't want to put it down. So that's fantastic when that happens. You know what that's like when you're reading a book and you're like, oh, this is just so good, I don't want to stop. And that's how I felt when I was reading the first Wicked Righteous. So if you can, I would certainly recommend going back and picking up the original, especially if you're gonna pick this up. I feel like reading the original really hyped me for reading this one. So I would definitely recommend, go out. I think it's like $6 to get digitally the graphic novel version that collects all the issues. I literally think it's like $6 on Comixology, and you get the whole series, and it's well worth it. So anyway, jumping into this now, this is the follow-up series. So again, just all that being said, remember that these are characters that we already know if you read the first one. If you didn't read the first one, I think you can still jump into this and you'll be fine. I think it's pretty evident what's going on, and they do a good job here of kind of like relaying back a little bit. So before we get started, let's just hop over here. Terry Mayo is the writer and creator. Lucas Romero is the penciler, inker, and colorist. So he's doing all that. And then Christopher Hall, also colorist, and Brandon DiStefano is the letterer. I don't know like who colored what pages or whatever, like why there's two different colors things, but hey, whatever, they know. So anyway, the story takes place in a post-apocalypse. No zombies, which is nice, just for a change. It's sort of a disease, but you're not really sure. It may be the rapture. And that's kind of a cool thing that you're just not 100% sure. Even when reading the first one, the first series, it's kind of mysterious as to what exactly is going on. So we get a little flashback here. And this is good for if you didn't read the first one, and it's also if you did, it's kind of just nice to reset and go back, and you see the kids, you see their dad is basically digging a grave for himself because he knows he's dying. The wife had already died. That happened at the beginning of The Wicked Righteous. The world is coming to an end. Things are going crazy. People are dying left and right, and it seems like only children and criminals seem to be the only ones who are left alive. It's very bizarre. There's some adults. There's nothing like, so it's definitely like we don't know what's causing it. We don't know why some people are getting sick and others aren't. So you see the dad speaking to one of the boys, and he's trying to explain to him how he needs him to, he's telling Matthew he needs him to take care of the family because he knows he's not going to be around for much longer. So then we jump to where we left off, the last series. They're on board this aircraft carrier, because at the end of the first series, that's where they wound up. They're on board the aircraft carrier with Cross and with these other people, and so obviously something's wrong. You see that smoke billowing out. So there's something wrong with the aircraft carrier. It's definitely in danger. They need repairs. They can't just keep floating around at sea. That's how they've managed to keep themselves safe for all this time. But they, because they're separated from everyone, they're just out to sea. But they do need repairs. The ship's in trouble. So they have to figure out something. So they get in touch with people on the shore, with basically what is essentially seems like a base. They go to, they send some helicopters, and a couple of the boys go with Mr. Cross, to go meet up with these people who've offered to help and repair the ship. And as they're going there, and they're smart, like he tells them to land before they're supposed to because he doesn't trust these people just in case. And then the ship actually winds up being attacked by the Chinam, I forget what they call it, Alliance, or what, I forget what they call them. So they're attacked and the kids are in trouble. The kids who are still on the ship are in trouble. Then they need to escape. They manage to escape eventually not without some losses, of course. And then they're basically out in this life raft, and they need help. The other kids who are in the helicopter run into some real bad stuff. I should probably stop showing stuff, because I don't want to ruin anything. Again, I always try to be non-spoilerific with my stuff that I do with my reviews. We'll show this page, I guess, because that's kind of badass. The book is violent. It's got cursing. It is an M-rated book. It's not an all ages book. I probably should have mentioned that up front. So it's probably not appropriate for it's definitely not appropriate for little kids. I would say if you're like 13 and up, you're fine. It's got some cursing, so that would kind of just depend on you. It's got violence. And it's got cursing. But I would leave that up to you, to figure out if that's appropriate for, if you've got a teenager at home or whatever, or a preteen. Teenagers, I'm sure, they've probably heard worse than that every day on the school bus. But anyway, besides that, what I wanted to talk about this book is the art. In the first series, I did a whole video about this, about how, and it wasn't so much a review of The Wicked Righteous, but that's what kind of spawned the thought in my head. I loved that series so much, because of the story had me hooked. The story absolutely had me hooked, and the art was good, but I wouldn't say the art was great. The art definitely had some issues in certain places. Again, I'm trying to be truthful with my reviews. I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but at the same time, I got to tell the truth. There were certain spots where the art was a little less than what you would hope for. Just some odd, when the artist tried to draw certain angles, it seemed like he struggled with certain angles, and maybe would have been better served to just change the drawing, but stuck with it anyway, so proportions were a little off and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't anything horrific or anything like that, but it did, there's a couple of spots where it looked a little rough. This issue, I will say the artist definitely improved. I don't know if what he did in between the first series and this series, or if it was just doing that whole first series and then building up, and just the time of improving by doing that whole series and now starting this series. The art is definitely better. It's definitely more dynamic, I feel like, in this than it was in the first series. It's just better overall. I mean, that's just simple. I mean, the easiest way to put it is just say the artwork is better. It has improved. The art is better. The coloring is great. The coloring was good in the first series as well. So the coloring is still great. The quality, I mean, the art is definitely better. It's just clearly been improved. So kudos for that, for sure. And the story continues to be good. This story, especially if you've read the first one, if you've read the first series, this story drops you in, you know, and really just takes off. It drops you in, it gives you like, okay, let's get reacquainted with where we are and our characters, and then boom, we're gonna go. We're just gonna start running, and that's where we're gonna go. And that's a great, strong start. This really is a fantastic first issue for a new series. That's picking up, you know, as a sequel series to the previous one. It really, really, really starts off strong. I can't state that enough. Like, if you read the first series and you like the first series, pick this up. It takes off like a shot and really gets going. And then the end of the issue, which I'm not going to show you because you know I don't like to spoil stuff. The end of the issue really gets you like, oh, suck it now. You know, it really gets you like, okay, we're gonna go, and this is gonna go some places, and this is gonna get wild. So I'm seriously looking forward to the rest of this. Absolutely. Like I said, I loved the first series. I really did. Warts and all, I loved it. And this one, this first issue, just has me hooked again. I am absolutely hooked and cannot wait to read the rest of this series. It's a 6-issue series, and it's gonna kill me to wait for the next issue. It really is. Like, honestly, it's gonna kill me to have to wait for these next issues to come. So I would recommend, if you're like me, go back and read the original series if you haven't, and then that'll give you time, I guess. Although I read it in 2 days, so I read it in 2 sittings, so I don't know. But at least it'll give you a little, and then you could jump into this, and maybe the wait won't be so long to wait for issue 2, and you can read 1 and 2 together. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, definitely recommend. It's definitely one of my highest recommendations. I really, really liked it a lot. And this issue in particular is a really good issue, kicking things off, really taking off like a rocket. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. Share it, tell your friends, click the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends to subscribe to the channel, go knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, have you heard the good news about Jam Creates? Okay, really don't do that. But anyway, that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. I said that already. Peace out.